thank you to the Overding family, and you know, that's what the definition of family is. You just stick together through thick and thin. And thanks to Coach Frank Russo for presenting the award up off to the side there where the awards are. Our next inductee has passed away. Now, as an old guy like I am, 40 years in the sport, it's fun to know that I've seen everybody being inducted compete when they were in high school. The bad part of being that old is I left my reading glasses in the truck. But I didn't see Sam Stoller run. But being a history teacher, I know his story, and it is a good one. And to introduce Sam Stoller is a man that I think is Cincinnati's best kept secret, the head coach at UC, Bill Schneer, a finer track mind and a finer human being you cannot meet. He has molded more men and more young coaches than you can imagine. So, Coach Schneer.
Thanks so much, Andy. But before I start talking about Sam Stoller, I do want to recognize the whole Overding family, not only for the support they've given to Maria, their family member, but mainly when they were reading their Bibles and listening to those sermons at church, they did pay attention to turn the other cheek and to forgive us of other human beings. And I do want to cite that and appreciate that from the Overdings. But about Sam Stoller, when Jackie Robinson was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame, Cooperstown, New York, he wanted to make sure that he was being elected on the basis of his baseball ability and not because of his fascinating story. And the same could be said for Sam Stoller. Sam was a champion and a runner-up. He was an Olympian and a non-Olympian. He was an athlete and a singer. In high school, he never won the state championship in the 100-yard dash because he represented Hughes High School in Cincinnati, and at the same age, Jesse Owens representing East Tech High School, Cleveland, Ohio. Both entered the Big Ten. Sam went to the University of Michigan, and Jesse went to Ohio State University. The same thing happened there. Jesse usually won, and Sam was usually second. In fact, Sam would say, I'm the man who you'd see in the movies of Jesse Owens. Also, most of his races ended with the announcer saying, and in second place, Sam Stoller. However, upon occasion, he did beat Jesse Owens, which almost no one else can say. But now we come to the 1936 Olympics. The Olympic trials, the trials that led to the games in Berlin, the Adolf Hitler Olympics, the Nazi Olympics, in some ways the most famous of all Olympics, in some ways the most infamous of all Olympics. The trials were held at Randall's Island, New York City. Very hot day. Sam won his preliminary heat of the 100-meter dash, and he was waiting for the semifinals. But lo and behold, right before he was about ready to start warming up, they announced the finals, deciding not to have a semi, going right to the finals. He usually took 10 minutes to warm up. Chris, not so good. So he had about 1 minute to warm up and went right into the trials. As you might guess, it didn't work out so well. And the places were, Jesse Owens was first, Ralph Metcalf from Marquette University was second, Frank Wyckoff third, Foy Draper fourth, Marty Glickman fifth, Sam Stoller sixth, and Mac Robinson, the brother of Jackie Robinson, was seventh place. Well, if they did then how we do things now, they would have taken the top 4 fastest people at the trials, and that would have made up the 4x100 relay. But they didn't do those things at that time. They had the stars run the 100 and the 200, and they had the next 4 people won the relay. Would that be a good idea? Who's really to say? For instance, in the most recent NCAA championships, LSU won those championships 38.38. That would have been 5th at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Better than our American team finished, since Americans have a tendency to drop the baton. So the thinking there was to have 4 people committed to the relay, practicing the baton exchanges, and actually doing well. They had a race while they were in Berlin, and the race was to find out what order it should be. And in that race, it was first Sam Stoller, second Marty Glickman, and third Foy Draper. On August 8th, 1936, in a hotel, they had a meeting, and the meeting included the head coach, Lawson Robertson, the assistant coach from the University of California, his name is Dean Cromwell, and the 7 American sprinters. And at that time, the thinking amongst the coaches was the Germans were secretly hiding their best sprinters, and they would put those best sprinters in the 4x100 relay to win that relay. No one saw those sprinters in the 100 or the 200, and so it probably wasn't going to happen. But nevertheless, the coaches said, we're going to drop Glickman and Stoller, and we're going to put in Jesse Owens and Ralph Metcalf. Now that might have seemed fair to even at the time, and it certainly would seem fair today. They were clearly faster. They went 1-2 in the 100-meter dash. But what was really not fair is Stoller and Glickman were dropped in the place of Draper and Wyckoff. So when that happened, Marty Glickman was very mad. He said you can't hide world-class sprinters. Jesse Owens was also mad. He says, I have my 3 gold medals. I'm tired. Let Sam and Marty run. And Dean Cromwell, the coach, pointed at Jesse Owens, and he said, you do as you're told. And so Jesse, being a team man, said no more. And so the race was held. The American team won by 12 meters. It was 39.8. It was a new world record. And Jesse Owens said, we would have won anyway. Now Stoller and Glickman, most people think, were dropped because they were Jewish. And at a time when the hatred of Jews was rampant in Germany and Eastern Europe, and the idea was the American Olympic Committee was appeasing Hitler. Could that be? Avery Brundage, she was the president of the U.S. Olympic Committee, was a founder, along with Charles Lindbergh, of the America First Committee. It is an isolationist committee who wanted to keep America separate from what was going on in Europe. And that committee convinced the U.S. government at that time to turn back ships of Jews coming from Germany and Eastern Europe on the shores of America and New York City and send them back to Germany, in most cases to die in concentration camps. Dean Cromwell, the assistant coach, was one of the leaders of the America First Committee in California. So it looked to a lot of people like that really was the case. And that was really the feeling of most people at the time, and it's the feeling of most people today. Let's look at the other relay, the 4x400 relay. The Americans decided to not run their top man in the top 2 men in the 4x400, guys who finished first and second in the Olympic Games. They decided not to have the Olympic champion in the 400-meter hurdles run the 4x4. And so the precedent they planned to do in the 4x1, they followed through in the 4x4. Ironically, no Jewish people ran on that 4x4. Sam Stoller was very angry on that August day. It was his 21st birthday. He refused to go to the stadium that day and watch his teammates run. He vowed never to run again. Ironically, the German team, the German Olympic team, had 2 Jews on their team. The U.S. Olympic team had none. So what was the story behind the story? Avery Brundage, along with Charles Lindbergh, like I said, was part of the America First Committee. He showed his true colors by first benching Stoller and Glickman in the 36 games in the name of athletic competition. Ironically, the Germans built a U.S. embassy in New York City shortly after those games, built by the construction company of Avery Brundage. So he benefited personally by this. In the 1968 Olympics, Avery Brundage was a man who sent John Carlos and Tommy Smith home in the name of patriotism for their demonstration after the 200 meters. In 1972, he insisted the Olympic Games continue with a short respite after the murder of the Israeli wrestling team in the name of amateurism. All throughout the 70s, he guaranteed that amateurism was prevalent and no one could earn any money as an athlete. In the meantime, feuding with Steve Prefontaine and others, and while Brundage and others stayed at the best hotels and ate the best food. So like most of us, Sam Stoller was very angry, but like a few of us, he decided to run again. So he went back to Michigan his senior year in 1937. Jesse Owens was no longer at Ohio State. He won the Big Ten championship in the 100-yard dash. He won the NCAA championship in the 100-yard dash. He tied the world record in the 60-yard dash indoors. And he really established the credentials worthy of this organization. After the NCAAs out in California held at Southern Cal, he decided to start a singing career, and he became known as Singing Sam Stoller. He was in 9 different Hollywood movies, making the best of his situation. He broadcast as a color commentator for the Washington Senators. He eventually ran a radio station in Florida. He died in 1985 at the age of 69 years old. At that time, the U.S. Olympic Committee, feeling bad about their snub back in the 1936 Olympics, awarded the General Douglas MacArthur Award to Sam Stoller and Marty Glickman for being overlooked on purpose at the 1936 Olympics. So, did he have the credentials to be elected to the Greater Cincinnati Running Hall of Fame, or was it just his story that won the day? And I think the answer is clearly both. And so I present to you Sam Stoller, Olympian, national champion, Big Ten champion, world record holder, Sam Stoller. Now Sam is not here, but we do have his brother, and this is Harry Stoller. He's brought his wife, Peggy Stoller. They do live in Cincinnati today, and Harry would like to say a few words in behalf of Sam.